my background, basically, I come from a hearing family. So when I say a hearing family, I mean my immediate family, they're all hearing. Grandparents, cousins, they're all hearing. I am the only deaf person. So for that and for my parents, it was a real shock. So I was diagnosed at age 3. I have 2 older sisters, both hearing. So my parents knew something wasn't right, but not quite. What was the difference was I just went along for a normal hearing test, and it was, this child is deaf, she must immediately go off to the hospital, and my poor mum drove across central London and took me to Mayday Hospital. I would say that from the age of 3 up to 23, when I finished my master's degree in the University of Southampton, it was all about what did Katherine need. So my parents didn't exactly have a book. They went out to the medical profession, to educational profession, what did Katherine need in order to achieve? How can we help Katherine? What was the right opportunity for me? And they actually offered me a cochlear implant. And that must have been a really difficult decision for my parent to have made, for any parent. But I think it was the right decision, mainly because the technology wasn't there, and I did have useful hearing. And so they made that decision after a long time for me not to have the cochlear implant then, but actually to carry on in mainstream school, because they felt ultimately it was a decision I could make for myself later on, and that's what I did. So what then led me to the cochlear implant, I would say, I just finished my master's and I was starting my first proper job, I should say, working at the Southampton General Hospital. And I was 24 when I woke up one morning and put my hearing aid in and I couldn't hear anything. I came here to the implant centre and they put me through a series of tests. And that is when I started having the real conversation with the expert in the room, thinking this could be something for me. Because A, I had hearing loss. That doesn't mean it could or could not happen to my right ear, the one that I did have some useful hearing, but what happens if it did? So I was ready to start thinking about this, what is a major change? Let's be honest, it's a major change. And the technology was right for me to have this major change. So I took a deep breath and I had the operation at Queen Alexandra in June 2011. But I would say when they first switched me on, they had warned me that it would just be maybe a bit of beeping, and they were right, that's what happened. I had some beeping, and then within 6 weeks, I then started to recognise objects. And then, so sounds like beeping, like a clock. I couldn't work out what it was, but it's the sound of a clock. There was some beeping when I was in the kitchen. It turned out it was the fridge telling me off that I hadn't shut the door. So between the 6 weeks to 2 to 3 months, that's when my brain started to recognise objects, and I was able to connect objects to what they were. I would say it took 3 to 6 months for the brain to start to realise what they were, and everything became natural. I would definitely say that within 6 months, I was basically in a place where, okay, I didn't need to even think about it. It was starting to come very natural. My speech was improving. I was more confident about wearing the equipment. I wasn't worried about breaking anything. So what does this mean in terms of now? I would say 5 years on, I'm more confident in group surrounding. I've always been sociable. I do like to go out down the pub with my friend, but I would say professionally that's where the difference has made in terms of I can pick up a phone and I don't think about it. I can do conference calls. It's challenging. I get some things wrong, but I'm able to lead and share meetings. I head up a team at the moment of about 20 people across Hampshire, Isle of Wight, Portsmouth, Surrey and Sussex. So I've got a large team of people working in the NHS. And particularly in the NHS of now, you have to demonstrate leadership. So those leadership skills come from confidence and communication. And that's where the cochlear implant, I think, has made that a little bit of difference. It's also made me feel confident to try things I've not tried before. So I love driving fast cars. So I did a couple of track days, driving Ferrari, Maserati, really good fun. Even wearing the helmet, even though it's a bit of a squeeze, is absolutely fine. It's good fun. And the other thing I've tried was doing, I just flew a plane. I did one flying lesson, brilliant fun. I wore the headphones and I could not understand what the pilot was saying. But over time, actually, the brain was just mapping it. I was able to have a conversation between him and air traffic control. I might not have understood everything, but I was able to have a communication, recognise what they were saying, and fly a plane.